Hello everyone and welcome to my next project for the Soul-Rest build. Now most players who are using Soul-Rest build are using mostly Phantasms as their main skill and every other minion as support minions, but we are gonna be using Spectres and Phantasms on the Soul-Rest stuff for damage. Now this build right now as I am playing it is a very scuffed version. I spent about 75 chaos on it, and this is clearing T16s on Awakener 9 like breeze through. I'm not gonna be saying breeze through, but it's clearing really well, so I will be working on this, and the min-max version POB will be posted in the video description, and I will leave a map showcase now, and after that I will explain the build details and how the build functions. Also, this is very easy to play with lots of HP, lots of defenses as well, and we'll get into that after the map showcase.
I'm being punished, not I.
When I'm ready and not before.
Alright, now let's get into the build mechanics on how this build functions, and gears and flasks, as well as skill setup and passive tree, ascendancies and everything. So the build revolves around the unique staff Soul-Rest. This says that we can summon a Phantasm, level 20 Phantasm, whenever we consume a corpse, and the way we consume corpse is through devouring diadem, as well as a cast file channeling setup with flesh offering and desecrate and cyclone. So the build is automated through this, and we just use cyclone, and this consumes corpses like this, like that, and we see that there are phantasms over here. Also we can summon up to 10 through this stuff, and then another summon phantasm support linked in there for another 11 phantasms. And that's about the damage aspect of this build. Also we have a Ray Spectre in there. This is gonna be Syndicate operatives for the extra damage and the extra style points, I could say. The other uniques will be a Triad Grip to convert all the physical damage from our minions into cold, 4 green socket tired gips. This is pretty easy to make, and with bench crafting process. The other thing is this darkness enthroned belt. This is probably the best belt you can have for minions on a low budget, and upgrades from this would be Torrent's Reclamation. The boots are +1 to all Ray Spectre boots. I have these socket gems are supported by level 20 fortify. This allows us to gain fortify effect while we are using cyclone and hitting an enemy for the extra defense. The other 3 pieces rare gear are just there for life, attributes, and of course elemental resistance capping. We are using 2 unset rings because we are socket starved and we need all the skill points or the skill gems. This is not a proper armor for the skill setup. We need all 6 blues for this. Everything will be there in the POE for the min-max version though. This is, as I said, a very scuffed setup. I'm actually borrowing some gear from a friend as well to make this, and because the league is kind of dead, everything in the prices are so damn high that I don't think I can like properly min-max this build anyways. So skill setup would be Ray Spectre on the staff. This is also going to trigger the Phantasms link with this, so not just damage but also utility. Ideally you want a Phantasmal Ray Spectre level 21 on this. What Phantasmal Ray Spectre does is whenever you consume corpse and summon phantasms, they will be summoned with maximum frenzy charges, which is a huge boost to damage on our phantasms as well. Linked to that will be minion damage. First get awaken minion damage probably, then predator, and GMP for the extra clearing, as well as extra damage on our syndicate operative specters because GMP allows them to shotgun. And then the 6th link would be hypothermia. I'm using hypothermia here. You can use damage on full life support if you are going with the double cluster setup. These has been linked, this has 5 link, but you want it to be 6 link ideally for the spectre damage actually. So on our helmet we have the aura setup on the devouring diadem. This makes it so that our auras reserve less mana. We have hatred and haste for our damage auras, linked to generosity so that our minions get even more boost through this. And then the alone link will be summon skitterbots for the chill and shock effect on the enemy. On our ring 1 we have convocation for controlling minions, and ring 2 we have skill skin. This will probably be replaced when we get our 4th ascendancy. I don't even have that anyways. So on the gloves we have dash linked to second wind, movement skill. We have precision, and this will be probably the portal gem. On our boots we have cyclone with cast while channeling setup, and desecrate to generate corpses, and flesh offering to consume corpses and give our minions the attack and cast speed buff. If you want to be more defensive, you can replace this with bone offering and take another ascendancy point into this Mistress of Sacrifice, so you get block chance from it. For our body armor we want to have raised zombies linked with feeding frenzy, as well as carrion golems for the buff, linked to elemental army for the exposure, and then the other 2 should be Stormbrand and Assassin's Mark for elemental equilibrium proc, and the curse on the enemy for extra crit. Now this doesn't have to be a 6 link, this has to be a 4 link at max, and then the other 2 can be unlinked for the other 2 skills. As for our flasks, we have a life flask. This you want the bubbling eternal life flask of staunching. unique flask roomies for the block, basalt flask of heat for fizz damage reduction, a quartz flask of warding for phasing and curse removal, and then we have quicksilver of adrenaline for the movement speed. So that's all. And the small jewels on your belt will be life and attack and cast speed when your minions are killed recently, or minions have increased damage if you cast a minion spell recently. That would be the best one you can get for the belts. Again, everything will be included in the min-max version of the POE. Now for the talent tree, we're gonna be a witch, necromancer ascendancy. The first two labs would be mindless aggression for minion damage and unnatural stand for levels of minions as well as the minion damage as well. Then the third will be commander of darkness, more aura effect, and of course elemental resistances. The fourth ascendancy can be mistress of sacrifice if you want to go the block route, more defensive, and otherwise you can get bone barrier for the bone armor skill. This is defensive but in a different way. I should say this is for minions as well, like this gives your minions a lot more survivability as well. As for the talent tree pathing, we have standard minion talent tree, I could say. Abstract fire, elemental equilibrium, the socket for anatomical knowledge for extra life. You go up here, take the Lord of Dread for zombies, take this for damage, and of course some buffs to the phantasms over here for minion accuracy, attack speed, damage, life leech. You go down here, this is very important note, Great Pact. This is actually a very big damage, double damage chance. Then down here for jewel socket and lots of life here as well. We go up here for death attunement for extra spectre, life resistance here, abstract fire here, life, chaos resistance, aura effect, and then more minion cluster, not cluster but the minion damage nodes you can get on the tree. Down here for life, aura effect, and of course this small 3 nodes for block effect because we are wielding a staff. Also a mandatory cluster for the build would be life from death and blessed rebirth. These two are extremely important because blessed rebirth is minions created recently cannot be damaged, which recently means 4 seconds, and we're gonna be spawning phantasms like every 2 seconds, so our phantasms are completely immune to damage through this node. And phantasms are kind of very squishy. If you don't use this, they're going to be dying a lot more frequently. So this node alone here is extremely important for the build. Life from death is so that we regenerate our life. This is a boost for us rather than minions because we regenerate 2% life every second if we have a minion that died recently. So since we are summoning phantasms like very frequently, so the previous phantasms that are getting resummoned are considered as dying, so we are getting the regen from this every time. And that's about with the talent tree and ascendancy as well. And unfortunately I can't explain the clusters since I don't have them, but the clusters will be in the min-max version of the POE. Basically you want to stack clusters here and here for you want to stack renewal and aura effect, and that's about it. The other aura that you want to be using is precision. This is gonna be for a very min-maxed version of the build where you're gonna be going for crit damage mostly. So I hope I can get this build to a min-max state. If not, I will do it on the next league most probably. And originally I wanted to make a Spectre guide, but I ended up doing this instead. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video for this, and next I will be making a lot of league starter builds and they will be coming up in a few days, I would say. Like, I'm gonna be
But
making
I'm
all the
ready
builds
and not
first,
before.
recording them, and then uploading them all together. So have fun, guys, and may the rest of the league be enjoyable to you. Stay safe, exiles.